Good morning, everyone. Uh, on my way into the office this morning, on this May the 4th, I remembered a story that was just too good I couldn't keep it to myself, so I felt the need to share it. So, like most stories, this one starts from a friend telling it to me in a bar, so we'll keep that caveat on the front end just because some of the details might be a little murky as we go along. So, in college, I was involved in my campus Veterans Club. And one night after an event we did, we're hanging out in the bar talking about the night. And, as many times when a group of individuals gets together, we start telling stories. And a friend in the club, we'll call him Greg, started telling the story about time in Iraq. Well, the story started out with him going to an appointment and getting all of his stuff done before going on his deployment. So those that haven't been in the military, before you go on deployment, your unit has this checklist you have to complete about all these different appointments you need to make. So things like getting your vaccine record up to date and going and getting your last will all up to speed at the legal office and stuff like that. Well, one of them for him on this deployment was go to the office and get your dog tags updated. So, because he missed the time when the rest of his unit went along because he had another additional duty appointment, he did this on his own one random afternoon when it was just kind of a minimum staffing in the dog tag office that day. So he went in and filled out the will form and handed it to the guy behind the counter. And the guy behind the counter kind of looked at him funny. And for those that have never seen dog tags, on your dog tags is your religious preference. So he had filled out on his dog tags that he wanted his religious preference to be listed as Jedi, which you can do. You can list any, recognized religion that you want on your dog tags, and that's one of them. So the kid behind the counter was a little reluctant, but eventually put it on his dog tags. So jump ahead a few months to, in Iraq, and he was doing convoy duty, and as many convoys had happened during that period, they hit an IED, and a bunch of the guys got injured, and he was one of them. So, they're back at their forward operating base, and they've been bandaged up and stabilized, and they're all waiting there to be transported to a more substantial unit that has a larger medical facility for, additional treatment. And as sometimes happens, there was a military priest. So if anybody's ever seen the show MASH, there's the father with the glasses that is always just kind of there, is kind of the, giving people advice and stuff like that. Well, one of his duties at this base was, after guys got injured, he would go around, and if the guys were conscious and doing okay, he, asked if they'd want to pray with him or stuff like that. But if they weren't doing so well, or if they were unconscious, he would perform last rites because there was a chance they wouldn't make it. So the way that this works in the military is any military chaplain, regardless of what faith they are, will administer religious rites for any military member, regardless of what faith they are. So the chaplains have this little book with all these little different prayers and last rites and appropriate things for each different recognized faith that the military has on file. So the chaplain was going down the row and prayed with one of the guys, and then did a last standard Catholic last rites on the guy next to Greg, and get to Greg, and Greg, being the smartass that he is, doesn't say anything. The chaplain is just laying there. So the chaplain takes a peek at Greg's dog tags, pauses a minute, and then tells him, "May the force be with you." And then he moved on to the next guy. So then, the story goes on, and we all crack up, but I found that story very appropriate for today, being May the 4th. So, happy May the 4th, everybody, and have a great Star Wars Day.